This episode is brought to you by Michigan Economic Development Corporation. In Michigan, you can have both a rewarding career and a quality lifestyle, with plentiful career opportunities in world-changing, innovating industries, from electric vehicles to clean energy to biotech, with room for advancement no matter where you are in your career. Plus, Michigan offers a welcoming, beautiful, affordable, and inclusive community for all. Live your best life. You can in Michigan. Visit themichiganlife.org.
Welcome to the Instagram stories for Wednesday, September 15th. I'm your host, Daniel Hill. A couple of more serious topics to talk about than we normally do. I like to focus on product updates and new features, but in this case, sometimes these serious issues need to be discussed. The Wall Street Journal posted an article, Facebook knows Instagram is toxic for teen girls, company documents show. The byline, its own in-depth research shows a significant teen mental health issue that Facebook plays down in public. I'm going to just give you the highlights of this very long but very important article. Instagram had researchers investigating the experience of teenagers to find out whether or not it was actually problematic. And here's what the researchers said in a slide from a March 2020 presentation that was posted to Facebook's internal message board. Here's the quote. 32% of teen girls said that when they felt bad about their bodies, Instagram made them feel worse. The quote continues, comparisons on Instagram can change how young women view and describe themselves. Another slide said, quote, we make body image issues worse for 1 in 3 teen girls. Another slide said, quote, teens blame Instagram for increases in the rate of anxiety and depression. This reaction was unprompted and consistent across all groups. The Wall Street Journal posted pictures of these slides, and they are disturbing. One of them says, 1 in 5 teens say that Instagram makes them feel worse about themselves, with UK girls the most negative. That's the large headline. Another slide, the headline reads, teens who struggle with mental health say Instagram makes it worse. As I read through the article and more of the research from this presentation was shared, the more disturbing it becomes. Another quote, aspects of Instagram exacerbate each other to create a perfect storm, end quote. I definitely recommend reading this article, especially if you have teenagers who are on the Instagram app. The next article that I wanted to talk about comes from wired.co.uk. I saw a TikTok about this article and it took me forever to find it, and I realized it wasn't because it was on wired.com, it was because it was on wired.co.uk. The article headline, Instagram insiders reveal its growing TikTok turmoil. Byline, as TikTok goes from strength to strength, Instagram is suffering from an identity crisis under the ever closer control of Facebook. The article interviews a couple of former Instagram employees who describe some of the challenges of working there. For example, when some of the Instagram team was asked to work with an advertising agency that had run campaigns for the U.S. border control, right after photographs of children in cages at the American border went viral, some of the staff pushed back. And here's the quote. We had a meeting with the vice president of marketing who was new at the time, says a former Instagram employee. Someone mentioned it's really detrimental for a brand that's supposed to look like we're open-minded and youthful to be associated with an advertising agency that's trying to make American Border Patrol look human. End quote. What was the response? The former employee describes a brief screaming match with a former vice president screaming, well, Instagram doesn't exist anymore, you are Facebook. At which point everyone in the room went silent. The article goes on to give a really good history of some of the features that Instagram has rolled out over the past few years, and specifically talks about stories, how stories was a win not only for the company, but also for users. Everyone at the time was so focused on posting polished pictures on the feed, stories was a way to post more relaxed pictures and video without worrying about how it looked in your feed. In that case, it was a win for the company, who was trying to compete with Snapchat at the time, and for users who wanted a less polished way to post. However, with Reels, that is not exactly the case. The article gives the metric that TikTok now has more Gen Z users than Instagram in the US, which is a big problem for Instagram. They provide a little bit more information from the former employee who worked at Instagram. He worked on Reels right up until they were rolled out globally. And he says from the beginning, it was obvious that there was going to be a problem. Quote, the product was essentially the same as TikTok, so people were just transferring over their TikToks into Reels with the watermark still visible. And then most of the original content that was being produced on Reels was much lower caliber than what TikTokers were producing on a daily basis. End quote. I think this article is very interesting. I definitely recommend reading it. I'll include both of these in the show notes. If you're using a smart speaker, you might not be able to see the show notes, but if you look it up on Apple Music or Spotify, you'll be able to see the links and click right through. That's it for today's show. Come back tomorrow for more Instagram news, strategy, tips, and more.